Hello and welcome to one more episode of Ideas to the World. Today I'm going to talk about psychogerontology, which is an area on psychology that studies people of age, which is amazing. It's a recent area, relatively recent. It doesn't throw us back to 1879, the year of psychology, the year of foundation of psychology as a scientific area. But of course, throughout life, philosophers always talk about what we later start to study scientifically. So of course we have some of that. But the term psychogerontology or psychology of aging, it is being emerged and getting more attention the last few years. At least it was what was passed to me on my psychogerontology classes on the university. Even though I don't go to most of classes, I study at home. I prefer, for me, at this moment, it's more rentable for me, if that's a word that you can apply here. I hope it is not rentable. Okay, more profitable for me. And I want to show you this graph, which is a graph that is also very interesting. So pay attention to this. In 1770, the median life expectancy in Europe, which is my country, it was 34 years. Can you imagine that? You dying at 34 years? That was so goddamn young. 34 years is so goddamn young. And we were swinging a little bit on 30, 30, 35, actually 1770, 34, and 100 years later, just 36. So only 2+ years added of life expectancy 100 years later. So I don't know what the hell is going on here, as I am still studying some history, but it wasn't World War I for sure, but of course we had other types of challenges. Anyways, here in the beginning of the 19th century, 20th century, we started to see an explosion. Look at Asia, 27.5 years. My God, amazing. It maintained for like 100 years too, 28, very young. So we can see at 1900, 42.7 years, which is an increase of like almost 10 years. But after that, look what happens 100 years of that. Boom. From 42 years, we are now at 77 years of life expectancy. That's a huge shift, right? So even you just see in the 50s, it was like 60, but then in 50 years, more 15 years of life expectancy. Can you imagine the moment you are dying, you have more 15 years to live? That's a lot, right? If you are like near to death and somebody says, you want 15 years more? Yes, I want 15 years more. Okay, so let's give you born to life into 2019, because then you will have more 15 years to live. And of course, life expectancy, it doesn't mean you are going to live 78 years. As far as I know, people can die with 20 years old, of course, and people can die with 90 years old, 100 years old, 110, 120. So this is like just the mean, as far as I know, period of life expectancy at birth in a given year. So who is born in 2090 can expect to live 79.1 years. Even though I'm still learning these small little details, if you know, please put me in the comments, as I can learn with you too. Still funny to look at the chart, the period life expectancy at birth in a given year. So pretty amazing. So all of these factors, of course, it added the emergence of psychogerontology, and more than that, the focusing more on this discipline of psychology, which can study lots of different things like aging, of course, and the cognitive processes that can accompany it. Like, for example, lapses on memory. It's pretty natural to have less excellent memory, and just knowing that it is normal to not have such a huge, big, massive, beautiful memory, it is okay and can be enough for the people with age to feel less anxiety, for example, and so on and so on. That I am going to talk more about in the next videos, probably. And psychogerontology, it grabs information from psychology, of course, social psychology, which I think is amazing. Also, psychology of work and organizations, okay, and I think it is amazing. Of course, this area also grabs some concepts that are applied to other areas, like clinical psychology in adults, for example. There's things that can be applied here, like cognitive psychology, for example, I bet, like reevaluation, yeah, like giving a reevaluation of things that are happened, like thoughts, for example, and finding strategies to adapt to new situations. I would say like looking at things differently, like the perception of being with a bad memory, and it is going to get worse and worse and worse. Presenting information that it is normal, it doesn't mean that it's going to keep continuing like that. It helps the people of age to reframe it so they have less stress. And of course, there is other types of things that can be applied to psychogerontology. It can say like depression, anxiety, the acceptance of death, which is a big one. When you are old, the acceptance of death, I think it's huge, and I think it's amazing. Psychogerontology, because they talk about a lot about spirituality, which I love. I love seeing spirituality in psychology. It just gives me sparks of brightness into my eyes or outside my eyes. I love seeing spirituality in the psychology discipline. I love it. And also to finish the video here, one thing that I think it's also very interesting that psychology of aging / psychogerontology gives us, that I think we can apply to other areas of life. For sure, that's my experience in life. It is to not let us win a learned dependence, which is in practice nothing more than the person learned to be dependent. For example, the person of age, of advanced age, can give a walk of 10 minutes outside, but she learned to not walk because his son, for example, wants him to not move. You just have to rest. Don't move, don't get up, don't walk, because you have just to rest in peace here, and you should not move because you can get yourself hurt. And it can be not be useful, because the person can learn to be dependent on others when it wants to do things like walk, for example. So we need to be paying attention to that, because we can learn that. Because if the person can walk, but it learns that anytime he wants to walk, a person will grab him, putting him in the chair and drive the wheelchair, well, the body will learn to depend on others to walk, and we can accelerate the process of losing the ability to walk and the ability to be independent and to walk independent, to be independently. Of course, there should be some constraints of this, because the person should be able to walk and it should be safe. So it's just not the capacity to walk. The person should walk and be safe to walk. So that's really interesting to have in mind. and I think that can happen to us for sure, right? If we get into being lazy in something and let other people do that for us, of course we are going to learn unconsciously. This is not consciously. Like, okay, somebody is doing this for me, I will learn to not do it. No, it's all unconsciously. So the person starts to get more soft and starts to expect other persons to do that for him. But here in people of advanced age, it is more prone to happen. But it's not prone to the right word. It is almost inevitable in some sense, because they are also advanced in age, and it's unconsciously. It's like the body just starts to act on that way. So I think that's a really interesting thing to keep an eye on. And I have more things to talk about on psychogerontology. Anyway, I'm going to end here the video because it's already 10 minutes and I have a lot more to talk, and I'm going to keep it for the next one. Thank you and bye bye.